Introducing the Daisy Playsuit, a must-have sewing pattern for creating your perfect summer outfit. This playful playsuit features a deep V neckline and some capped frill sleeves to add a fun and flirty touch. The floaty shorts with the overskirt effortlessly combine comfort and style, allowing you to move freely while looking chic. Whether you're lounging by the pool or dancing the night away, the Daisy Playsuit is the perfect choice for any summer occasion. With this sewing pattern, you can easily create a stylish and versatile outfit that will become a staple in your wardrobe. To make this pattern, you will need main fabric. Please check the table for details. Lining fabric. This is optional if you plan on lining the shorts. Some fusing fabric. This is used to fuse the waistband. A 30cm or 12-inch invisible zipper and some iron-on 1cm wide seam tape. Print the pattern pieces by selecting the size you wish to use. If you are between sizes, then I suggest you pick the measurement that is largest between your waist and your bust measurement. Lay out the fabric by putting selvages together and lay out the pattern pieces on the fabric in the direction of the grain. This means that the pieces are cut with the same arrows parallel to the selvage. Please note that some pieces are needed to be cut more than once. Read all of the information on the pieces of the pattern. I am also going to line my playsuit shorts, as the fabric that I'm using is very thin. So I will be cutting out the short pattern piece in a lining fabric, and I have decided to use 100% cotton poplin. Mark all notches on the pattern. To mark the dart point, push a pin through the fabric and open it up and make a small mark on the wrong side of the fabric where the pin is with chalk. Sew the dart by folding it in half where the chalk mark is, so that the notches match. Repeat this step for all other pieces. Sew from the notch on both of the points previously marked. Continue the stitch over the end. Press the darts flat in the direction of the side seams. Flip piece over and give one final press on the right side. With the front bodice and the back panel, pin right sides together at the shoulders. Make sure that the centre back is aligned in the correct direction. Repeat the process for the lining panels. Sew shoulder seams with a 1 cm seam allowance. Repeat the process with all shoulder seams. Then press the shoulder seams open. Repeat the process for all shoulder seams. On the wrong side of the bodice, use the 1 cm seam tape. Place it along the neckline, all the way along the back until you get to the centre back. Only do this on the outer panels of the bodice. This will prevent the neckline from stretching. Overlock the outer edge of the frill sleeve. Fold over and top stitch 3 mm from the edge. If you don't have an overlocker, I would suggest using a pin hem. Lay out the bodice pieces with the taping right side up. Match the centre notch with the shoulder seam and pin around the sleeve edge. Base stitch about 5 mm from the edge to hold it in place. Lay out the pieces that you have just added the frill to right side up on the table. Then lay over the facing fabric so they are right sides together. Pin along the neckline. along the neckline with a 1 cm seam allowance. Roll the frill sleeve up so that it will fit inside and not get stuck in the seam. Pin well so it won't move. Fold back the facing so that the right side is to right side and pin around the armhole. Sew with a 1 cm seam allowance. It will create a tube with the frill inside the middle. Make snips in the seam allowance around the curves of the armholes. This will allow the fabric to lie flat when turning it round to the right way. Turn the tube out so you can see the right sides again. Starting 1.5 cm from the side seam, understitch on the lining until about 1.5 cm after reaching the frill sleeve. From the lining side, press so that the seams lie flat. Trim off any loose threads. Iron the fusing onto one of the waistband panels, making sure that it is stuck well. On the front bodice panels, make 2 rows of gather stitching between the 2 notches, one at 7mm and one at 5mm from the edge. If you have a smaller bust, then instead of gathering between the 2 notches, ignore the outer notch on both bodice and waistband and do 2 rows of gather stitch between the notch closest to the middle and the side seam. When matching with the waistband, only match the first notch and spread the gathering evenly between this notch and the side seam, trying not to bunch it up in one place. Lay out the fused waistband and make a small mark where the 1 cm seam allowance meets at the centre point on the pattern piece. I used a disappearing pen to mark this. Start by matching notches with the waistband. Pin together and gather the section between the 2 notches so it lies flat. Do the same on both sides of the bodice. The front of the bodice should meet up perfectly with the previous marked point. Then, before stitching, place and pin the facing or the lining waistband matching notches to the already pinned waistband. Sew very carefully as there will be many pins. If you prefer, you can hand base stitch the waistband before sewing it on the machine. When you get to the corner, take the needle close as you can to the marked point. With the needle still down through the fabric, lift the machine foot and pivot on the needle to line up to the seam allowance, and continue to the side seam. To make a crisp point, fold over the seam allowance and pinch between your finger and thumb. Turn to the right way, allowing the point to be pushed out. Once turned, holding both the waistbands together at the bottom, top stitch along the under bust line and press if need to. Now to connect the side seams. Open the back panel up so the right side is showing. Line up the armholes and pin the bodice down one side. Sew 7 mm from the edge. Do the same with both sides of the bodice. Once sewn, fold over the other half of the back panel and pin it down. Then sew together with a 1 cm seam allowance. Turn to the right side and press. The bodice is now complete. Overlock the edges of the shorts, trying to cut as little of the seam allowance as possible. Do not overlock the hem yet. Repeat this process for the skirt. Also, do not overlock the hem. For the overskirt, pin the side seams together and sew with a 1 cm seam allowance. Press the seams open. If you are using a very lightweight fabric, then I would suggest a French seam or just overlocking the seams together. Match the inside leg seams together of the shorts. Pin together and sew with a 1 cm seam allowance. Then press open. This will make 2 legs. Turning one leg inside out. Place the leg that is the correct way round inside so that the right sides are now facing each other. Put the crotch seams together and pin around. Sew from the centre front to the back notch. Once sewn, press the seam open at the front. Pin the overskirt wrong side to the shorts right side and base stitch either by hand or by sewing machine around the top part of the shorts and skirt, attaching them together. Also sew down to where the zipper will go. Lie the bodice out flat with the right side up. Putting right sides together, pin the shorts to the bodice. For the front, you need to attach both waistbands to the shorts. Open the back panel out and only pin the outer fabric to the shorts. When sewing, sew the single pinned back panel sections first, then sew from the other side to make sure seams are joined through all layers. Keep the back panel separate. This is very important, otherwise it makes it more difficult when adding the zipper. Place the zipper down one side of the centre back, on the right side of the fabric. Pin in place. If you prefer not to sew with pins, then you can hand tack the zip before sewing on the machine. A tip: stitch the zipper starting top to bottom as it helps the zip to stay flat. Make sure the zipper teeth are rolled out flat. Then position the zipper foot, making sure that the needle will sew as close as possible to the zipper teeth. Use an invisible zipper foot if you have one. If you don't have one, then I would suggest using a regular zipper foot and making sure the needle is as close to the teeth as possible. Pin the other half of the zipper to the other part of the centre back seam and repeat the last steps used to add the zip. On the overskirt, match the hems at the bottom of the zipper and pin right sides together. Sew from the hem with a 1 cm seam allowance as close to the zip as possible. Press this seam open. With the zipper open, flip the facing panel so that both the facing and the main fabrics are right sides to right sides. Sew down the facing to the zipper edge. Turn back to the right side and press to make sure that the facing is not showing. Overlock hem of overskirt and then hem of each leg hole separately. Fold over overlocked hem of the shorts and the overskirt and top stitch. If you wish to line the shorts, make them in the same way as you made the shorts for the main piece. Sew in the same way as you attach the shorts, but this time add it to the facing panel and the waistband panel. Overlock the hem of each leg hole. Make sure that it is shorter than the outer fabric so it cannot be seen. Give your outfit one final press and enjoy wearing it. I would love to see what you have made. Share your dress online with the hashtag AmyDaisyPlaysuit.